This is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching with today's part 3 of my grandmother's garden, actually sewing the rows together. This is one of those quilts that turns out to be a real labor of love for yourself or the person that you're giving it to. I have all of my 28 flowers made. I laid them out on the floor and took a picture of them to make sure that I liked the way they were, and I rearranged any that I needed to, and then I carefully placed them in stacks and put a number on each one so I'd know I wouldn't have to start all over again and look for the right row. Then I decided to start on row 1, and that was actually very exciting. And I've got some colorful slips here that might help you when you get ready to start. And the first thing I did was I took my first flower for the first row, and this is the only one you do this for. You do a row of your background color all the way around, and this is my muslin looking color there. Once you do that, you pick up your second flower in that row, and you look for this place right here. And if you miss it and start here, it doesn't matter, because when you get down to the end of the row, you'll see this is flapping, and you can come back and sew it. And that's what's nice about it. And if you're doing knots at the end, or not knots, but back stitching at the end of each piece, I have actually sewn the wrong thing. And I was able to go back and take out that stitching without messing up the whole thing. So that, you start there, and you just do that side. About 1, 2, 3, 4 parts through there, and you have to take and turn the fabric back and forth, because as you notice, this is where a seam is, but then the next seam is right here, and the next seam's right here. So you have to turn your fabric as you go to sew each part. So once you get that part connecting 1 and 2 together, then you go ahead and you finish off the outside edge with the muslin on that flower too. And then it just becomes rote, because when you add on flower 3, guess what you do? You go back and you sew the 2 sections together right through there, and then you put the edge around it. And you do that all the way down through. And on this one, I did the long rows, so I had 6 at the edge, 6 flowers added. Then you'll see that it's sort of flappy between the flowers. You're going to have to build in that background material. And the easiest way I found at first when I started was, you can tell that this is, let's see, right here. This one right here was a good place to start, and I'd go there and I'd just build it out. And then I came back and I built the other way, and then pretty soon I saw, oh, that's where that one would go, and I come down. Now what it's going to do is you're going to have a full block, and eventually you're going to cut this off, and you'll have a block and a half at the very edge of the flower. When you're doing this way with the point going up. And the nice thing about this project is that you can change up. You get tired of sewing, go cut some patches. You get tired of cutting patches, then mark those patches. And I also did some trimming on the back, just because I didn't want it to be very bulky, and that's really just up to you. And then you can press, and try not to iron, try just to press and move your iron around. And then you can actually, if you have your favorite and you have some needles, you can go ahead and thread those ahead. But any of those things, you can go back to sewing and then go back to something else, because it will take a lot of the background hexagons for this quilt. And right now I'm working on row 3. And if you look at row 3, the very first flower is going to line up with my blue flower at the top. But there again, it's going to be hooked on with these pieces right here. And then you're going to finish up any part that's not done. Because what'll happen is you'll also have these top parts lined up, and you sew those and see, and then you'll sew this side. So there's a lot that's going to be done. And then you've added, but anyway, you've added that first one at the bottom of row 3, and you've put a row around it. And then it's like a puzzle. When you set the next one in, you'll see how it fits right in there, because there's that little notch, and the notch on there fits. And remember, row 1 is 6, row 2 is 5, 6, 5, 6, down to the end. This is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. I hope that helps you when you get ready to start putting your rows together. If this was helpful to you or you like something, please subscribe and hit like, and thank you.